All right, internets, ladies and gentlemen, this is the latest edition of what you've been missing. War Media's Fandemonium specials, bringing us back on another go round. This is the outlet where I like to geek out, nerd out, however you want to put it, on various topics that inflame us, in the pop culture realm. I am your man Kyle Means here, editorial director of War Media, and this shows how much of a special topic we're. Well, I get all the topics we're going over in this session are special, and how meaningful they are is that I get to reunite my brothers Demonze Spurl and Kenneth Davis here, and you see them in the middle. I guess they're in our middle here. I don't know how this is going to be edited up. Saul will handle all that. But we got our producer, our latest addition to the War family, Saul Rodriguez or Saul Rodriguez. I don't know what you want to call now.
I was waiting for Ken to say something. I was waiting for Ken to say something. Yeah. Scold you.
I'm gonna call him Saul. I'm just gonna roll the R.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
I'm just gonna roll the R. I'll read it. But all of us are here because we are very enthused with the topics that we're going over tonight, and we're going to lead off. We're going to go into DC and Marvel stuff that's going on now. As usual, a lot of big news have dropped and everything. A lot of projects are going on within those big comic universes. But we're going to start off our talk tonight with a show that is really just enthused all of us, really caught up all of us. It's surprisingly, but not surprisingly, because it's the biggest show of the year. Is spun off of the Game of Thrones universe, which is it was a big deal. It's probably the biggest show of the last 10 or so years. Game of Thrones was, but we didn't know how dope House of Dragons was going to be. And that's really where I want to start off with House of Dragons. The season finale was about a week or so ago, and we're going to recap the season here. But I want to start off just this discussion with y'all, just open it up to all y'all, and see what your feelings on just how effective this opening season of the House of Dragons series was. Were you surprised at how much? At the quality of it, and do you think it's lived up to so far to the best of what Game of Thrones offered?
Let me tell you something that first, Cuzzo. Thank you for having us on the show too. So I was texting with Kenneth Davis down there. He's below me right now. So I was texting with him, right? And I got Medi, that we used to work with, right? So we watching it. It's been a couple of episodes so far. So we're watching at the same time this and Ring of Powers. You know what I did to Ring of Powers? Tapped out. Ain't because it's like bad, anything like that. Ain't like that. Ain't because of that. House of Dragon was so damn good. It was like, this is amazing, right? So I goes on that text chain. I said, listen, guys, this season right here, we was like halfway through the season. Maybe a little bit more. I don't know. I said, this is up there with like season 2, season 3 of Game of Thrones. It might be better. Oh, no, it ain't that good. You don't know what you talking about. First, they tried to get me on come out the Hobbit show, talking about how good it was. Wasn't even that damn good.
It is good.
I was like, you know what? I'm just waiting.
You like incest. You like a lot of incest on your fantasy.
Hold on. First off.
Is it incest? Oh man.
That's what adds the spice to it, kid.
Certain type of backwoods flavor. And antebellum backwoods. It's like you gotta understand where it come from.
I'm a binge power. I'm a binge not power. I'm a binge the Hobbit show. I gotta watch this House.
But okay,
single week. It is that damn good. I tried to tell Ken. I tried to tell him. I said, this is some season 2, season 3 Game of Thrones.
And it wasn't. I'm sorry, I'm interrupting. Let me.
Go ahead, King.
Because listen, King, let me tell you. Mind you, this is my brother down. He's below me on my screen. This is my brother down here. So one thing we love to do is call each other on our bullshit. So when he first said that, I had to remind him, you didn't start watching Game of Thrones to season 3. You binge watched all of that. So you really didn't get it the way that the rest of us got it. So when you it's like season 2, you blew through 3 seasons. So what are you talking? It's better than Dog, Ned Stark just died. All right? What you talking about? We're talking season 2 of Game of Thrones. Dog, Game of Thrones didn't start getting suspect to where it's like season 4. So don't tell. Look, I love House of Dragons, but don't you slander the first few. Yes, the first season 4 was like, wait, they I don't know, right? It's kind of it wasn't the same. That's when the filler started getting more. It started having more filler. But the first couple of seasons, are you correct? The House of Dragons, are you nuts? What? No. They said, look, the creator of the show said, if it wasn't for HBO, we wouldn't have been able to tell this beginning part in such detail because this is slow. We had to show you all this buildup, and on any other platform, we wouldn't be able to do this. So him telling you that lets you know this isn't season 2 of Game of Thrones?
Dude. Season opened up with a woman getting a baby ripped out of her. That was the scene.
We've never seen that in anything before.
And it got better. Every
Wait. So that's how you rate it? Is the babies are getting ripped out? I'm
just saying, they started off hot.
Okay, what season? Real quick. I can't remember. What season was the Red Wedding in? Was it season 3? What season was the Red Wedding?
I think was it 2 or 3? 2?
Okay. So if it was 2, a baby for you and your lust for baby death, infanticide, a baby in the Red Wedding got, for some reason, because I still don't know why he took the girl to the Red Wedding, knowing he lied to old boy when he was supposed to marry one of his daughters, but she got shaped. They stabbed the baby in her belly up. All right, in the Red. Are you going to tell? Wait. So what season was it? 3?
It was 3, yeah.
That's what I thought. No, you talk. We ain't even got to the Red Wedding yet, and you talking about this was better than season 2. I mean, please. I'm sorry that we went off topic with just this.
Y'all derailing it. Y'all derailed it pretty quick.
He started.
But let's get back on track. Because okay, let's just ask you, King. You got the opinions on Game of Thrones, but given how Game of Thrones ended,
terribly
at the very end, most people didn't like how Game of Thrones ended at all. It had to take off because the books haven't ended yet. It had to take off from the books, and it did its own thing, and the creators burning off in whites, whatever. They were halfway out the door anyway, so they just
wanted to make a Confederate. If the Confederate one show,
they were ready to make the Confederate show.
Jesus,
and they phoned in the end of it pretty much. So now they were out the door with this. They were never involved with this House of Dragons. So there was, but people who were involved with Game of Thrones were involved with House of Dragons. So like I say, before House of Dragons even started airing, what were your thoughts? What were your expectations, and how do you think the series sort of played out? This first season played out against your expectations.
It met my expectations because I knew nothing can be what what Game of Thrones was when you're talking about just an Americana. I mean, we forget how huge Game of Thrones was. I mean, I know this set records because Game of Thrones, right? So now people know, but what Game of Thrones was doing, because like I said, it's not even a knock on him. D didn't come along, but because it became such a thing where it's like, I got to check out what the hell this is. That was a lot of people. Game of Thrones, it shook everything up. And until it had a season and a half before that wasn't nailing it like you wanted, but the last season was so bad, I wouldn't tell anybody to watch Game of Thrones. That's how bad the season is. You be like, should I watch Game of Thrones? I'm like, nah, you good, right? And it's just because that season it was terrible with what they did with something that was so well put together for the most part or whatever. But getting to your question, Kyle, House of Dragons definitely lived up to it, and this was part of the thing though. When Demonze was talking about Medi and myself, as far as like some of the ways where with power rings, I was like, well, something ways I feel like Power Rings has it on House of the Dragon. They didn't show us the minutia and the power from the bottom of like you saw in Game of Thrones, where you saw Littlefinger, you saw, the people that built themselves, grabbed the power. Like really, only person that you have is the hand who's really jumped up. What's his?
Hightower.
Yeah, Hightower. Hightower's the only one that and then of course the lady that runs the brothel, we see that her character now she's got her fix. She's basically pre-Littlefinger in a way that she's going to be involved in a lot of things that are taking place as far as information and things of that nature. But the thing that was
boy with the foot fetish too.
Oh, Laris, yeah.
Oh, forgot. You know what? I blanked that out. I forget that. People have to keep reminding me, and people have to I'm for real. I blanked that out. Right?
I actually, Ken got on me on this one right here, right? So that episode with the old foot fetish, Allison selling foot photos back in the day. I woke up my missus. I said, you gotta see this shit. Ken was like, you woke her up for that? I said, man, I wasn't expecting that.
Yeah.
This is Westeros.
Yep.
About to look
This is amazing. Westeros, Ken.
I think this man has told us some of the freaky stuff he had did recently. I hate feet too, but I never would wake somebody up to see something like that. You guys are just like, that's what jumped. So, okay, babies, unfortunately, botched births. And can I curse on here? And feet fucking is what gets you going. All right, whatever floats your boat, bro. It's a free world out here, man.
Look, but see, that's the thing. That's what I want to get into, because I don't really have anything for the Lord of the Rings stuff. I never really got into all that. But have y'all watched that whole Amazon show?
I've watched 2.
I've watched the entire
so
thing.
You dipped out.
I dipped out.
And there've been some comparisons too of both shows, because they premiered it around the same time, and they both tried to integrate themselves and stuff like that. So I'm just like, for what you
out of Hobbit selling feet.
Well, they're not hobbits. They're not hobbits. They're not hobbits yet. They're not. They're called hard bottoms. The people that I assume will become the hobbits. Hey, whatever float. Hey, y'all cousins, so you may like it. But whatever floats your boat. Whatever floats your boat, bro. I'm not one. All right, to this anybody's
that degree,
passions.
To that degree, like I said, was it what about House of Dragons in that fantasy realm allowed it to stick to you more than the hard bottoms or whatever? Was it because they didn't take enough risk on the other show, or what? What was it?
It was moving a little bit too slow for me.
Okay.
It takes. I'm sure the show is amazing, right? I'm sure it is. I'm gonna go back and watch it. I am.
Some people kind of put that on House of Dragons at the beginning a little bit, because it took a little while.
I was gonna say House of Dragons was taking a second too.
Mm-hmm. And
I think the acting. I'll say this. I think the acting from the young actresses.
That was good.
Why, even though it was, and also, all right, I'm a Whovian, so and Matt Smith isn't my top Doctor Who, all right, but Matt Smith once I saw Matt Smith was in, I was like, oh, yeah, this is about to be that ish right here. So you had Matt Smith, and then you had the young actress who was playing Rhaenyra, and that it was just she acted. All of them did a fantastic job. Mm-hmm. So even though it was slow, the acting was so well done that you didn't mind. And you like the thing is this too, because I think probably it's what you like. So, for instance, when I first started, I should say I was the last person to come to decision when Medi connected Demonze and myself on instant message, and me and Demonze ended up. Me and Medi was cool, and they were cool, and then me and Demonze over time, over about a year, started to get real cool or whatever, right? But I used to argue with Medi because he was like, man, I'm telling you, this Game of Thrones is going to be like this, it's going to be that, because he read the books. And I'm like, listen, it sounds like Lord of the Rings, and it can never be better than Lord of the Rings. Man, I probably by like the third episode, I was like, yeah, this is better than Lord of the Rings. But I mean, they not banging. And all the sex that you see D likes, you don't get that in Lord of the Rings. You're not gonna get Hobbit feet fucking in Lord of the Rings. So he's not gonna show up, all right? When he's pulling up for that. It's for children, so the children can watch it along with it. But the thing is, because again, and it's to each his own. Like, for instance, as a kid, I confused Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit, right? Like, even I feel like in high school, I read The Hobbit, but then when Lord of the Rings came out, I thought that I had read Lord of the Rings, right? And also I remember there used to be a cartoon that they used to have when I was a child, and I don't remember. I think that was The Hobbit, and I used to still confuse it with, because again, I didn't follow Tolkien like that. So to watch, for instance, The Hobbit was wildly entertaining. Look, if you want to see stuff that I'll sit there and watch if it's on, like this hasn't, like, National Treasure has always been one of them. I'm gonna pull up. I'm watching a little National Treasure, right? Yeah. But they don't.
I'm a National Treasure advocate, by the way.
I appreciate you, Saul. And also, but the real thing that they run now all the time, because they don't run National Treasure like that. If they're playing The Hobbit, particularly before they enter the mountain, and the Troll King is like, that's the sword of Damocles. Like, I'm there all the time for when that's the blade of the rich. I'm there. It's so funny the way that they bring in the humor into it. So like, because I don't know if you guys watched The Hobbit. I mean, just the villain you should. Just the villain that's...
You got the live action one, right?
No, yeah, of course, the live action. Yes, I'm talking about the live action. Just the villain that Smaug is. He is such a terrific villain. And if you like dragons, you like the dragons, right?
I do like
Smaug, like when Smaug comes out of the mountain and he's like, I am death. It's like, damn, and the movie ends, right? It's like, damn, he about to go kill all of them, right? Like, so, like, for me, and again, it's not as sexy. It doesn't have all of those adult trappings. Not saying in a negative way. It kind of is PG-13. So I get why some people where you got to get your incest in, and they not gonna do this. Like that Targaryen.
But no. But to be a little real about it, though, I think that is part of the draw for a lot of, like, this. It's not so. I guess the freakiness or whatever is part of it, but I think it's more of the messiness, because it's like when I see the way a lot of people speak about it online, it's like, oh, they get on Allison for certain behavior. Or they get on certain characters, and they, how people just like say they talk about it like it's the people in their lives and stuff. And
you have people that you love, you have people that you hate, you have people that's kind of like, I don't know about you, I gotta keep watching you. Like with Matt Smith, he's amazing in it. And then you look at the Queen now, he's kind of like, yo, like, which way are you going? Actually, that's a perfect example, Kyle. You can see people in this show that you probably know in your real life that you feel that way.
And that's crazy for such an outright fantasy.
It's a fantasy. The dragons, to me, are secondary. Although it is supposed to be the main focus on the Targaryen Civil War. But the way they have built these stories with these people, and also, too, what I love about House of Dragon, I think it's something that Ken and I disagree with. I like the fact that it's centralized to one family. It's not. I mean, it's more than one family, but it's very centralized. The thing about Game of Thrones, it was a lot of storylines that you had to keep up with, right? It was kind of everywhere. With this, it's kind of centralized, so you can just look at the one mess that's on your television screen and focus on that. And I think that was another reason why it brought me in, probably a lot quicker than the first two seasons of Game of Thrones.
So,
this is
we see you can't multitask because you can't watch two shows.
I can multitask.
Two shows.
Let's get Saul in a little bit more because you've been laying back a bit. But I want to jump off.
That's all
good. I want to work off of what D sort of just offered there,
Mm-hmm.
and like because you watch Game of Thrones, right? You watch.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you watch Game of Thrones and you watch House of Dragon, and what do you think about sort of the more interior storytelling of House of Dragons and the way that it's more, like I say, so far it's been limited to House Targaryen and their immediate, lineage just outside of that, and comparing it to the more epic, a larger world that Game of Thrones encompassed and all the stuff. Because, like I say, from the beginning of Game of Thrones, they would talk. They were in the north, and then they were all out with what God was
Jamie Lannister.
They took the Lannister,
King's Landing.
King's Landing. They were all out with the Targaryen. The girl.
Dany.
She was everywhere. She was everywhere.
Daenerys. She was on the other side of the world and stuff. And they were telling her story.
Yeah.
And like I say, comparing those two, what do you think about the way that these two series have started in their first seasons?
Yeah, it's drastically different. I think like the way people have talked about it, and I think Demonze was making a good point when he said was talking about how it's smaller. And yeah, what I've heard too is when the way people talk about it and the way the showrunners talk about it is that they wanted it to be more, at least for the first season, to be more of like a small town feel compared to what Game of Thrones was at the beginning. Because that is true. At the beginning of Game of Thrones, it's like, it's cool. And obviously, if you, not knowing, I've never read the books or not knowing anything about Game of Thrones, like the world is so big and there's so many characters that, I have to, like, I would forget so many characters' names. And the thing is, House of Dragons, I'm not, perfect at all the names, but I definitely know most of the characters' names on there compared to Game of Thrones because there's so many. But I think also the more that the show keeps going, I'm kind of like, they're talking about, at the end of this first season, that they're going to talk to they're going to go see the Starks.
Yeah,
and I like this kind of,
and it's
exactly.
Season.
So it was cool, and I'm kind of like, I got excited, but then also I'm thinking to myself, maybe that's what makes this show so good is the fact that it's so smaller. It's like it's smaller, I guess, in that sense. But I'm excited to see what they do with that, with seeing what the Starks are like at the beginning. But I also like how much it separates itself from Game of Thrones because it's like, they don't really mention that they mentioned a couple things, like, I guess in the sense of like that remind us of Game of Thrones, whether it be about the throne or whatever. But I like that it's its own separate thing because I think you can always get lost in, there's shows that do it well, like, like Better Call Saul and Breaking Bad, they kind of fuse together well. But then you also don't want to get like, and I think that the creators, like Vince Gilligan for Better Call Saul, like they said they never wanted it to be like Breaking Bad. They want to be different. So I think House of the Dragon, I think they're doing really well in the sense of separating themselves, and it's a cool thing. I mean, I'm definitely pleasantly surprised. I didn't expect to be this good, and my favorite character for sure is Daemon, no doubt.
Okay,
have to show me this earlier real quick.
What did it say?
I'm sorry, it's
cutting off on mine. Let's see.
It says, look, let's look at the picture, all right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. All right, it says, homie's best bet is to land, report Vagar stolen, and catch a horse back to King Landing. He didn't hear that from me, as far as his excuse for what happened.
we'll get into the finale in a minute.
That's why I was scrolling. I was just scrolling for that.
It's cool, but I just want to run off a couple questions right quick. Then we'll get into the finale.
I apologize, Kyle. I apologize.
But Saul, you just mentioned Damon being your favorite character. D and Ken, would that be the same with y'all, or would there be another character that sort of rises to that level for y'all?
Oh, I like Allison. I like the Queen.
Ooh.
I like the Queen.
I can't stand her ass, which means she's doing a great because
I agree.
Because she's so trifling. No, listen, this is the thing. Okay, the fact that she sat there and your reason that you dislike Rhaenyra is because she was a horny teenager that her uncle tried to turn her out, and that's the reason why. That didn't even. But it just shows the jealousy. That and like you did. Listen, the first aggression was on you. You were manipulating her father, and you never told her that, right?
But she was made to do that. See, the reason why
it doesn't matter if you were made to do it. If that's your friend, you can tell your friend, "This is what my daddy's making me do." But you sat there and you were like, so you were the first person to go against that relationship or to not be true. But and this is the crazy thing. Her doing whatever she was doing at whatever weird spot they were doing it at isn't the same as you doing something with her father. So like the equivalence isn't even the same.
But
you know I'm so and again, look, she's the actresses have killed
both of them.
It's so and I'm supposed to. She's like because again, it's better to either be hated or liked rather than no one not care. So definitely she's doing her job, but for me, we would be ops because she's look. I'm Team Iron Man all day. You know how I feel, right?
Oh yeah.
If your man's kills my peoples, you better tell me.
Yeah.
We better be somewhere enjoying ourselves. And you be like, man, Ken, I know you enjoying yourself, but Cal killed your people. I'd be like, damn. I know that's your cousin. All right. But I mean, again, don't wait because the problem is if you wait till shit is going bad and then I find out, now both of y'all ops, right? So like
and this is why I loved her character. Because you see her go through this story or these ups and downs and twists and turns, it's kind of like, man, you have straight up been used by your daddy when you were a kid to get a kiss, to put himself into power. You finally figured out, like, yeah, daddy, you on some BS. Let me let you go. And then when you see your
she let her father go. She let her father go.
She let her father go.
She didn't want him gone.
Rhaenyra basically told you couldn't be the hand because he couldn't trust her, right? But she saw the whole man in that sense, like, man, he was right. Let me bring my daddy back in. But then you turn around and see, like, man, you plotting and scheming without me even knowing. Just her story, just the arc of her character, to me, was so interesting to watch. And on top of that, I'm looking at the cast right now, Emily Carey and Olivia Cook. You would think that they were the same person. Just grown up.
The casting was real good with that, the way that they... Oh, my
God. And just see, and just to see at the end, I know we're going to get to it, but just to see at the end and stuff, like, yo, you my family. I know your daddy said this. I don't know if it's true, but I got to take care of you. It's the family dynamic of it. Her character this season was, to me, amazing. So I'm going to go with the Queen Allison.
It shouldn't have been a family dynamic. Like, the worst part is when the answer is simply there, and Rhaenyra should have married the young lady from the sea,
the 12-year-old? Wait a minute, you're talking about
No. He remember, first of all, listen. First of all, Dirty D, I know you probably may have liked that, but
no.
This is what I was going to say, and also inflicting on those times where he couldn't have betted her right then when they would have married. But what he was told as far as his hand and the strength that it would have brought. And he's the king. And also it would have made even more sense because you didn't have to bed her right away in the first place. But but this is the thing. You're going to sit there and wed your daughter's best friend, knowing that if she has a son, there's going to be a problem. Like you can't be a king wishing for the best. You know what I'm saying? You have to be a king that's like, I'm going to take the precautions necessary to make sure whatever is the succession plan that I want in place can operate at its optimum ability. And he was the reason that it started to fail, because his lust for this young girl. Now, I don't even want to make this his lust. I'm sure because he still loves his wife, right?
Yeah, that was part of it. Yeah, he was still heartbroken over his wife.
Yeah. Right. But even then, I mean, and I know, for instance, none of us are quote unquote royalty that we know of. But that situation where you have to decide when you're looking for a male successor, and you have them hurt your wife to try to basically kill your wife to try to save this finally having a son after all the stillbirths that she had. That's on you, but you can't sit there and decide that you're going to say Rhaenyra is a successor and then in a way plot against her. You know what I'm saying? And
King is your favorite character? You like?
No. My favorite character is probably Rhaenyra.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? She's probably my favorite character because of just growing, like just seeing what she had to go through. Being sheltered, and then your uncle using you in a manner, since seeing how Daemon choked her, and I guess we can't get to that because that's the last episode. But just even seeing just like where she's going, and also, I mean, think about it. What was was this season or the last episode was called the Black Queen? Like, I don't believe the Black Queen is going to be the queen now. I think that Rhaenyra is the Black Queen. You know what I'm saying? For what she's going to do with the murder of her child. So seeing that, and then actually I've been reading. I started reading the Game of Thrones. I started reading one of their books that I had. Oh, yeah? And unfortunately, like I had two books. I got one from Tony that I never returned, and I got one from Teresa from work.
Yeah.
And it was the Game of Thrones when I was like, let me start reading it, and just reading it. It's after the dragons are gone, but it starts to talk about Aegon and why the belief is he poisoned the last dragon, and it kind of revealed to me some of the future. Oh, and I was like, okay, I'm not gonna tell y'all. I'm not gonna say it here. I don't want to ruin it.
Well, let's start to get appreciate that, kid. Let's get into that finale. Some of the events that happened with the finale, then, because the big one, of course, is what Ken sort of teased with that image there, the dragon fight that occurred with Aemon and I forget the Rhaenyra's son.
It was
it Jack? Not Jack. What is his name?
It's like the most simple name too that I always forget. Yeah, I'll give it to you. Just keep going. I'll find it.
Okay, but anyway,
Luke.
Okay, Luke.
Yeah.
Luke. Yeah. Because Luke. It's longer. It's a short.
Yeah, it's like I don't know if it's Lucerys or but he goes by Luke.
I'm looking at something now, but yeah. Everything has been set up where they're on the verge of war. Lucerys is sent, or Luke is sent as sort of as a messenger from his mother Rhaenyra.
Crazy.
Yeah, crazy. Yeah,
he want to go. That's his old.
Should nobody leave at this point?
His older brother made him go, and he was like, "I don't want to go," but he was like,
neither one of them should leave the keep at this point. With what's going on, it makes and then the fact of not having the hindsight to think, hey, you know what? They may be trying to go down there too. Like, exactly. I'm sorry to cut you. When he pulled up and saw that big ass dragon, he should have hopped back up on that bad boy and was like, well, okay. Because I'm gonna tell you, if you was from Chicago, if you was from the south side of Chicago, not that dragon. Like, if any dragon, and it's great. And the great part. We always knew that it was a huge dragon, but we really got to see the scale compared to a younger dragon in this episode. Oh, yeah. Dog, it's like when you pulled up, he pulled up in a Winnebago, right? And this was the most sophisticated Black Hawk that was ever put out by the U.S. forces. Right outside of there, you was like, you know what? Before the pilot get back up in there, I'm gonna just turn in. I need to head back to the tip. Like common sense dictates it, right?
The reference that got me. This is from my Futurama film. Somebody said it was like a Scooty Puff Jr. dragon that Luke was from. If you watch Futurama, you know what I'm talking about. But yeah, he had that little dragon, and Aemon was already there at Lord Baratheon's, which is where
the
Luke
dude who
was
can't
sitting.
read.
Yeah,
right.
He was like, kid,
read this. I was like, he illiterate. Right? Listen, man, you royalty. I know most people couldn't read back then, but you, sir,
I didn't pick up on that.
You didn't pick up. As soon as he did that to the man, he was like, "Where's the maester? Read this." Like, this illiterate bastard.
He ain't got time to read. Yeah, he's too royal. He's too regal to read. But yeah, well, like Ken say, they pulled up at Baratheon's. The big dragon is there. That and see, all the storytelling was key here. If you had to watch the whole season, because it goes back to where Aemon took that dragon. That dragon actually belonged to one of the daughters of Damon's daughter. Yeah, one of Damon's daughters that he had,
because it was his wife's dragon. Right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So and then the kids had that little fight. This is when things started to get turned up in the season. The kids had their little fight. And go ahead, kid.
He said, but this is where because I kind of rock with Aemon. You know what I'm saying, a little bit. I kind of like Aemon, right? But he went back on what he said. He said that dragon for my eye is a great deal, man. We good. And then he reneged, and that's why I was like, nah, son. You can't do that where you like cut your eye out. It's like, no. You said that deal was, and look, when he said, I was like, you're right. That dragon, especially when your egg never hatched, that dragon, let alone that. The crazy part is we knew that dragon was huge, but think about that little boy on that huge dragon. He went down there on that big ass dragon by himself, right? Because he still didn't get the scale of how huge the dragon is until really this
episode. Got bigger over the years.
No, I think it's old. I think it's old. That dragon is old. Like that's one of the few dragons that's actually fought in battle. Because a lot of their dragons haven't fought in war yet. So it lets you know how old that dragon is. But then to know that neither one, and it goes back, I think the best part of this, and one of the better characters was Viserys, but Viserys just failed with being dumb sometimes. Where it was just like, sometimes he was a little two-dimensional. But what he said about dragons, as far as people believe, you know what I'm saying, that the dragons are everything. He was like, they will burn everything down. And then to see that neither one of them could control their dragon. And that's that's the key to the whole. He didn't want, Luke did not want his dragon to breathe fire upon Vhagar. And Aegon, whichever one is with the eye patch one, he didn't want his nephew to be chopped up.
Right. That was the key too. Like he was just trying to scare him.
Right.
When they flew
can't
off,
do that with dragons.
Yeah, you can't play, man. You go pull out. You gotta
play.
You gotta be ready
that's
to
it.
shoot.
You pull out. You gotta respect what's gonna happen.
He thought he could just flash it and play around with him, but that dragon had other ideas. He
breathed fire. So that dragon was like, that motherfucking breathed fire on me.
On me.
But that's pretty brutal. And we haven't really got into like comparing the brutality, because the brutality in this show so far has been different than the brutality in Game of Thrones. It's been more intimate. But that was that final dragon battle was one of the cases where it was just, we hadn't quite seen anything like that. Like we seen the dragons breathe fire in both shows and burn people up but to take a big old chomp in the air and let it come down, like the little dragon and the boy come down like confetti. Like it was brutal.
Like those things, those seeds in the trees that spin when they has little wings on it. It was spinning just.
It looked like a rock, a piece of chicken. and just demolished it. And I'm like, oh my God. And I watched this, I'm like, this dragon about to eat them. And I'm like, okay, he got away. And then it like showed the little lightning and came up right behind. I'm like, oh, this motherfucker's gone.
Ooh, that was such a great scene. That was that shadow.
That dragon, a little boy. He didn't breathe fire. He ate him. And Ken talking about this ain't as good as season 2 and season 3. We saw a dragon. Wow.
Wait. Just everything. Wait. Everything that Daenerys had to go through in season 2 is still better than this so far. But let me wait.
Dragon.
Wait. See, this is the thing. Wait. So because look, this is what you say that makes it better. A scene. So it was a lady that
it's a whole bunch of scenes.
No, it's 3. You said incest, a failed birth, and a dragon chomping makes it better than season 2 of one of the greatest series of all until the last season.
Go ahead.
But D, what did you think of the failed birth? Because you mentioned the first failed. What did you think of Rhaenyra's failed birth in the finale when they?
Oh man, listen,
that was pretty brutal.
Man, Rhaenyra's, listen, she's cut from a different cloth. This is what I love about her. She is tough.
But you chose the op.
Hold on, wait a minute. She is tough, but she is so smart because she's able to kind of like keep all these dudes in line. Like, yo, we ain't about to just go out here and just start the war. Hold on, y'all. Let's hold on now. I'm gonna give them my answer tomorrow, but we know we planning and scheming. But let me go have this baby by myself over in this corner. I was kind of, I knew, I mean, obviously she's gonna be back for the story, gotta keep going. But it kind of harkened back to what happened to her mother.
That's why she did
first season to the last season. And I mean, she straight has this child, stillborn, and then wraps the baby up for the birth, and then goes and plans a war, a civil war against her family. Man, listen, her story arc was also amazing as well. But listen, I
read too that in the book there's a description of the stillborn baby, and the baby actually has it's supposed to have scales. And some people actually said they saw it like.
That's how it looked. It looked dragon-like.
Like that, right?
Yeah,
the baby's head looked dragon-like. But also, but this is the thing too. Remember, they took 2 kids from her. That baby, remember, she went into labor when she found out that they had kicked her off the throne. Her father died, and that they usurped her. That's when she was like, "Oh, right." Yeah. That's so that like she went into labor because of the news that she just heard. You know what I'm saying? So
she wasn't due,
right? And so she went into labor due to that. So she lost that child, who, of course, as you said, was stillborn. But then she lost her second child because of them also, which just goes into what I guess we'll be seeing in season 2 in 2024. Which, look, I'm not dissing it. I think it was. I'm happy HBO did it well. It doesn't seem cheap or thrown together. But anytime, like, I think this too, as an adult, as a kid, I was thinking about a bunch of sequels like Ghostbuster 2. Like last weekend, Fright Night was on, and I heard some guy was like, yeah, so-and-so, my master won't like it. And I screamed down the after. I was like, is that Fright Night? And she was like, yeah. And I went to talk to her while she was watching. She's like, I don't remember Fright Night. I was like, you don't remember Fright Night? And then I started to think where like Young Guns too, like all these movies from my youth, like after, and some of them I didn't watch when they came out. I watched on VHS. And then all of a sudden in the early to mid 90s, they started making sequels. And as a kid, I was like, yeah, I want to see a sequel. And I remember back then hearing adults be like, no, it's a sequel. And I'd be like, you don't want more? And as an adult now, I realize, like, you know what? Sometimes a one-hitter quitter is just leave it be, right? Yeah. And again, this is quality. So let me lead with that. This is quality. But usually, sequels are never better. It's a rarity where a sequel is better than the original. You know what I'm saying? So I'm happy, but that's why we pay for HBO subscriptions, those who pay for them. would pay for HBO subscription because you know for the most part you're going to get quality. HBO doesn't play. You know what I'm saying? If you're going to find something you like there, and it's probably going to be well done. So again, I mean, I feel like they did it. It was well. They did it very well. I honestly, if they keep the same discipline, would like to see them go even further. I would like to go see Valeria or whatever, like not flooded. You know what I'm saying? Like I would love to see what it was before, even older. You know what I'm saying? Since this is just 170 something years before Daenerys was born. Go ahead.
No, I would say because you know, I think we all know that right after Game of Thrones ended, there was talk about like as many as 5 spinoffs. And
they shot down one. HBO shot down one.
Yeah.
But like they sort of reeled everything back and everything got put into this show. So that's basically what I was going to ask. Like, do you think that this is going to probably bring on the success of this show to bring on back on maybe
it's
these
too
other
much
spinoffs?
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's why wouldn't you build like look at what AMC does with Better Call Saul and with
Walking
Dead.
The Walking Dead, thank you. The zombies, right? Which I still watch, so I should be able to say Walking Dead.
Watching that show?
Yeah, I know.
We might have to do another episode because that is wrapping up. And
it's the last season?
Yeah, that's right.
It's the last episodes.
Has a zombie
But I mean, they got other stuff already. They got other shows that you already know they have coming out. So it's not really wrapped. They're going to keep milking this cow.
I told Ken years ago, leaving the score one night. I'm like, man, they're going to have this show on till the zombies start doing a Broadway skit. Because
you were right.
Because the actual
zombies have changed. The zombies have changed. The zombies are unlocking doors now, D. They like that. Like it was a zombie I saw started pop locking. Like it was like, like
too much money.
It's gonna be actual zombies when they end the Walking Dead. They're gonna be criticizing that TV depiction.
I've already heard of doing a spinoff for the brother with the dread. What's his name? The Sea Snake.
Carlos.
Because they had that whole story where he was out to sea and all that stuff. And he was.
It makes too much money.
That's why I want them to go further back to when his people was running the old Valeria or whatever that was, and also when you hear why they made them black because of how they were written to be God, like closer to gods or whatever. So they were kind of like, yo, you know what? So like, if you're gonna take me
they did that
take me to a place where we are dragons and run the sea. And this is basically supposed to be Atlantis, right? We can go like, and it's like it's the truth. No, I'm sorry.
You missed it, kid. I said they did that to draw in Kyrie Irving and speak types and stuff.
I'm not touching it. I didn't even know what happened today. I had to reach out to our player partner. Like I didn't even know. I was like,
let me not complicate things, but
please don't.
And actually, I would say that's probably like I guess let me just throw that out right quick because I want to just ask one more thing and then we'll start to wrap it up. But like I said, the Sea Snake I thought was very critical, and I like the whole aspect of the diversification of the show and everything. So, what did y'all think about that? Do you think that was needed, or do you think did it add to your appeal of the show in any way?
You know, we're not just slaves or what's it called when they cut your stuff off?
Yeah.
The Unsullied.
Eunuchs is the word. We're not
eunuchs. Okay.
Listen, I have to say this, that I don't know if it's my favorite scene, but it may be, and I meant to mention this, and I'll step out after this. When Sam Smith cut that fool's head off. And his thank you.
Oh man!
And his tongue was
Dude,
still there.
My!
Oh, that was hard.
Outside of the dragon ending, that might have been the most brutal thing.
Yeah,
that was hard. I was like, I had to rewind that. I mean, I'm sorry.
They said a lot of
so you ready to go, huh?
Yeah.
You ready to go? All right.
A lot of women was impressed by Damon in that moment, apparently, because you got to cut a man's head off when they defame you now for some of these ladies out here. So
in the court in front of the king, like, his daughter, his grandkids. Sean was like, "You do." Look, and shout out to my brother being strong. He was like, "Listen, I know you the king, but you do what the hell you want to do with your house." All that when it come about.
That's true. That is true.
My
like
daddy name on it.
that is true because they did talk about that. They did talk about that. They said that how like even though he got like messed up, like he went out on his own terms. Like he said what he wanted to say.
He wasn't scared.
Yeah,
but you got to turn around. You got to turn around after you do that. They bastards. I see you, Damon.
Oh yeah, and he said it too because you know how you know how they have the post. They have I was gonna say post game. You know how they have like the post like the conversation with everyone. He said it too. He's like, he got me from the back. Like he didn't do it from the front. He got me from the back.
The extra scene, at the end.
Yeah. He said it. So like that's true.
Yeah, the guy who played that character, he was like, he got me from the back.
Yeah.
Yeah, you should have known he was gonna get you from the back. See, this is the problem. Common sense at some point is lacking, and I wanted to mention this, and I forgot while we were talking, just to go back to something, and to go back to Luke with the dragon, where he was going through the mountain, the crevices or whatever, and the larger dragon couldn't go in there. And I said to Afton, I said, listen, there's something innate in us.
We lost Keegan.
I'm not here.
Talking about
I see you.
No. Oh, this is what I'm saying.
Mm.
There's something innate, right? That if you grew up where we grew up, you know survival. And that's the problem, to where sometimes you don't see common sense survival. And I brought up Ricky from Boys in the Hood. And I said, to be honest with you, any brother that grew up in the hood, that we saw the red car at the end of the block, we take off to the alley, they go to another block, we double back to the block that we were on because they left the block. Right. And they don't expect for us to go back the other way. And as soon as he was going through there with the little dragon, you don't go through. You stop and you double back because they think you're going through. And that, to me, because it's common sense. And that's my only rant. And I apologize for disrupting the close, Kyle, but I wanted to get that off my chest.
You good. You good. The one thing I'll leave off, because leave with, I should say, is I came across a post from Insider that has like some questions, 11 questions the House of the Dragon season 1 finale left unanswered. I'll offer a few here and see if you guys had any of your own. The first one they had was, where did Harold Westerling go? If you don't know that name, that's the Lord Commander of the Night Guard, the one who stepped away when they was after the king died and they started plotting. He was like, I ain't with this, and he stepped away. But they didn't, they didn't offer what happened to him. He didn't, he ain't get murked or nothing. So is he still out there? There's another question about what did Otto do with the other lords and ladies who refused to bend the knee to Aegon? And we know the one dude got murked, or Coswell, but there's some others, I guess. What happened to Massaria, the prostitute? There's a couple big ones. There's another son that Alicent and Viserys had. A lot of people been talking about this. Darren, I guess that's how you say Darren, but he hasn't even been in the show yet. And they say he's going to show up in the second season, but he's a fourth. Is he like the youngest child. One? Yeah, okay, he's the fourth child they had.
He was sent to like, I forgot where he was sent to, but yeah. He's
an old town with Otto's older brother, Otto Hightower's older brother. So he's with the other side of the family. But they say he's going to be in the second season though. And one more question that interests me is talked about the daughters again, the Damon had with the sister. You know, how do Bela and Reyna feel about the impending war? And will Reyna ever claim a dragon? We talked before the dragon that she should have had that Aemon took from her.
She's getting a dragon.
Well, that's the thing that I was going to say. That I noticed that House of Dragon on Instagram, they had a whole thing on their story where it's like, this dragon belongs to this person. This it's like a directory kind of like showing you who's belongs to who. And they put on there for I believe it's Vhagar, which is the one that Aegon has. Or sorry, Aemon has. They have Aemon and Reyna both there. So I feel like they're leaving the door open to that maybe in the future. And again, I don't know anything about the books, but maybe in the future she takes it back or she tries to take it back or whatever.
I don't know. Look, I don't know this. I'm just going off of what we saw. We already know that Daemon talked about weaponizing and getting more dragons and the wild dragons. Also, we know from Vhagar being as big as he is in a battle-tested dragon that he went and got a tank when he went down there. And think about how big that dragon was that Daemon stepped to. Clearly is a wild dragon that was down there. And think about it. So if he's going to bond with that dragon, his dragon is now open, right? So, and again, just like, and I was saying this to Afton, really, we don't know when it comes to Game of Thrones, did Dany give up the right to the dragon that she gave to Jon Snow, or was it like, yo, that's my car, you can drive it right now because I got this Benz, right? So we don't know the order as far as, can you have more than one dragon, bond to more than one dragon, and a dragon still follow your influence, or is it you have to relinquish it, and the person that takes that dragon upon is now the clear master of that dragon? But they showed us that big ass dragon down in that cave for a reason. You know what I'm saying? So that to me, I would think his daughter. I mean, clearly he needs his daughter to have a dragon, so she will have a dragon. And I don't know. I don't see Aemon giving his Aegon or whichever one that was. I don't see him losing that bad boy because he's gonna be around here for a minute.
Yeah, he's gonna be important.
He's gonna be causing a lot of frustration.
I hate to cite other shows, but there's a good Rick and Morty that spoofs dragons and how they make dragons out to be sluts apparently, and like the bond that you have with dragons.
Oh, they bond with anybody? I was like, okay, because I know he was about to wake Chanel up. Dragon was putting his feet on there.
It's kind of yeah, D might like that episode. It's
turn the lights down low. It's dirty D time.
But anyway, do y'all have right quick? Do y'all have any questions of your own that you want to see answered in the next season?
Demonze?
Not off the top of my head. Well, I guess I have like some simple ones, like, okay, shit, is Otto gonna make it out? Oh, no. Here's one. Club Foot Boy. He's a little bit too laissez-faire. He's too loose with his shenanigans. I think somebody gonna murk him next season. He run his mouth too much. He's playing the game, but he isn't playing the game. He's playing it too loose. Like, he hollered at Otto, like, yo, you know what I'm saying? She ain't got to be the only one out here getting all this information. Motherfucker, you talking too much. You out here way too much in them streets. Somebody go cut that foot off, probably first thing, and then kill him.
Wait.
He's doing too much.
Because it was her foot though. So whose foot are they gonna?
No,
you said they gonna cut his bad foot.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
My bad.
Then take him out. He talking to
make an example.
So that'd be my one thing. How much are they going? How much is he going to try to spread himself throughout all of this, and will it catch up to him? Because I think it's going to catch up to him. Somebody be like, man, you talk too much. I gotta shut you up permanently. This dude killed his brother and father.
Yeah,
set him on fire.
He's been pretty foul.
Man, he's foul. He's foul. So that'll be my question to him. Like, how long is he gonna be around?
Okay.
So
Anything else?
Oh yeah. I would say. I mean, it's pretty simple and upfront, but how's Rhaenyra going to respond? Is she going to go straight up like? I don't think she'll go straight up like demon mode and just light up King's Landing.
Right?
But
is she gonna be what Daemon wants her to be? Essentially.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But
I don't think so because the whole conversation they had when everyone left the room and he started choking her. I mean. I don't know. I don't know where really
jealousy.
Yeah. So I don't know where they stand necessarily. There's gonna be friction there for sure.
How much? Yeah.
So I don't know, but
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, you're good. You're good. I was good.
In his wicked way, you see that he loves her and he cares about his family. My answer to your question, Sea Snake's son, will they tell him the truth that him and his wife that he's not dead? Especially since you form this, now you all are in together as far as they're with you. So in the past, you may have been fearful of what they would have done to you if they found out, well, he's still alive and we still have this claim because of his legitimacy or whatever. And again, you still have to worry about that because there's people that are claiming you're illegitimate. But will they bring him back and let his parents know that both of your children aren't dead? Like, even though you think we're saying, and Rhaenyra's let him know, I didn't have anything to do with it, but just tell them the truth. Like, he's still alive. He meant this to me, and I wouldn't do him like that, but I had to try to save this. So I had to bring Daemon in to do it. But we did not kill your son would be when and if he returns. And he has a dragon too. So when and if he were, because really, and again, this is just my opinion.
You need everybody. Everybody,
right?
Get back.
And he could always just come back and say, "I fled, that I left, and they thought I was dead." He could lie and say, "Hey, they didn't even. I made it look." He could say he made it look like he died, and that's what took place because I wasn't. I was done or whatever, or what I'm saying, or talk about perhaps his sexuality as far as this wasn't for me. What I'm saying, this is what I enjoy. Like, there's ways that he could come back and still let Daemon and Rhaenyra's union be solid, but still be there to help. And let's not forget the type of warrior he is. So that would be the question that I would have as far as upcoming season.
That's what I was gonna say. One more thing, sorry. Like, I just wanted to say that's the one thing. I guess if I had to say, like, if I had a problem with this show, one thing is that like I kind of don't really fully understand why they couldn't have just been like, hey, like. Your son doesn't want to be with. I know I know that they wouldn't like be like, oh, of course, for sure, we want to keep,
Yeah,
but
couldn't be that.
But at the same time, I'm surprised they didn't like. I don't know. I'm just surprised they didn't at least try with the way that the show was going. But
that's just like, for instance, like when Otto comes there and is telling Rhaenyra's, look, your son's gonna be the cupbearer and this and that. Yeah, that sounds good. But y'all still gonna whack us, right? Like you can't. It's just how it goes. You know what I'm saying? Because anyone that has a legit claim has to go, and like it's like that's the problem to where they couldn't, right?
Yeah. It's wild, man. It's the show is mad intriguing. It came in some different ways than Game of Thrones is, and it did, I should say, and different strokes, man. Different strokes. But it's found its own niche, and it's found a way to keep us involved in this world. And this, you gotta give it a lot of credit for that. Like, 2024 ain't gonna be that far off, I guess. Time flies.
And
but
this is what I said in the text, though. This is what I said in the text. I think they knew they had something special probably after the first week and seeing the reaction, but beforehand it was kind of iffy because the first show they nixed. They probably thought like, okay, this is better than that, so let's just see what happens. They renewed it after the first episode. They renewed it. So like, damn, we gotta wait 2 years for this. It's probably gonna drop in August of 2024, man.
Right. But all those actors, all the scheduling.
That's what I'm talking about. Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
You can't.
Look,
and the crazy look. I don't know if any of us went back to watch Westworld's last season, but when you have all these actors I got it on my DVR. But when you have all these actors, it's scheduling. I mean, like you got some heavy hitters, and I'm sure. Look, there's probably heavy hitters coming that we don't know about as new characters,
and these characters about to be heavy hitters.
Exactly, exactly. D. So so it's and let alone just the director's schedules and produce it just schedule. So like what D said, of course, like I'm gonna make sure secure the bag. So that goes to HBO too. We can't just make 2 seasons on something that may not work that costs this much money. And so we have to still see.
Yeah,
say what?
No, finish up, Ken.
So one, they aren't going to go there and create 2 seasons. So then it's going to be a situation where you have to. Also, it takes CGI. All this stuff takes a lot of time. Yeah, for you to be able to create.
Game of Thrones was. Right. It's going to be a lot of big.
Let me say this. The dragon quality at times on this show isn't Game of Thrones dragon quality. That's CGI sometimes. I'd be like, you spending like $5 when you used to spend $10 on these dragons. But that's pre Warner Brothers Discovery merger. They wasn't free with the money back then. Like, and going back to that though, like Game of Thrones was surprisingly on schedule with the way that they released those seasons. Like they were pretty much year to year. Like we forget about HBO. They big shows back in the day. It used to be like Sopranos would be like 2-3 years in between seasons and stuff. The Wire would be like 2 years. And those shows were hardly the budget of Game of Thrones. But Game of Thrones, even with its big budget, but part of it was because of the big ratings for Game of Thrones and that demand was there that it would be there every year. So it came out.
Last question.
It came out on regular schedule.
Do you know how many seasons they are planning on doing? It's like 4 or 5.
They haven't said, but they've alluded to they've already alluded that there's going to be more than 2. So he said the guy has said 2 or 3. Yeah. He's already said 2, 3, and beyond or something like that. So
you have to do generations.
Yeah. Right. I would think they're going to go right up into where Game of Thrones start. Probably.
And I think they said at the beginning it's like 200 years before.
170. It's 172 years, I think, to be exact. Yeah. I don't know if it's
all those time jumps,
but it's 170 years before Daenerys is born.
Right.
Something like that. That's what it is.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, not to mention, I think I was going to say with the whole why it's taking forever too is, I mean, they got White Lotus and then Succession.
First episode.
That's why I said the tech. Like
I haven't seen White Lotus.
I'm going to watch a lot of stuff coming up.
Yeah.
That they setting up. That Last of Us show is going to be a big show for them. That's coming in January.
Yeah.
So they going to have a lot of stuff that they bringing back next year. So they didn't want to. They didn't want this to step on those shows.
I got one last one.
What's up?
Especially when they go to the Starks, I wonder will they, and if they go up until the Mad King, will we see waddling in? Because think about it, there's been questions about what's little man's name? I forget it. It's on the tip of my tongue. That waddled the Stark boy that became the king at the end of Game of Thrones.
Oh, Bran.
Bran. Yeah. Remember, there's always been Bran the Builder. There's always been the discussion was the Mad King mad because Bran was talking to him? Yeah. So will we see Bran waddling into the past? Listen, I guess this is the thing. He can waddle in and we may not know it's him. Mm-hmm. Will they let us know? Or will we have to find out in the future when said character was acting differently, perhaps that Bran had taken over that character? But I'm interested in seeing how, because you kind of have to bring Bran. Like, what's the point of Bran having that ability if it's not throughout this, whatever you do with this series?
That's a good point, Ken. That's a good point, man. All right, man. We over an hour into this, man. We didn't did the bear stuff before this. Y'all been talking all night. I appreciate y'all, man. Really glad to have y'all along with this and have we had some fun with this discussion. I promised some MCU with DC talk, but it's getting to be too late for that. So we gonna try to let's try to do that again soon. Maybe next week still before, because Black Panther still don't come out until the 11th. We'll try to hit y'all off with some of that pretty soon before the Black Panther for wide release and all that. But for now, we just hitting y'all hit with this House of Dragons flow. If we hope we addressed questions that y'all had, or talking points that y'all have. If you like what we do, follow us on all our major platforms: Twitter, Facebook, IG. Of course, you'll see clips of this discussion and all of our other shows on all of our platforms. We're on TikTok too, even though it may be closed down any day now. So, War Media is out there everywhere. Just follow @War Media on all those platforms, and follow our guys here. I'll let you guys give your tags.
Demonze 1 on Twitter. Same thing in IG too. DEMONZE #1.
Go ahead, Saul.
Oh yeah, my Twitter is at SAUL_R26.
I'm at That's Davis on all social media platforms.
Yeah, and Ken is the only one with a check on Twitter out of
everyone's
us.
getting checks now.
Yeah, I'm saying everyone. Are you gonna pay that?
You saying am I gonna play? No, are they taking my check away?
Dude, they talking about
pay.
Oh,
they're gonna reevaluate the whole thing.
Bye check. If that's my check came free, why would I pay for something that I didn't have to pay for? Why would I pay? I don't pay for any social media platform. You trying to monetize this foolishness is ridiculous. So no, I mean, if they're going to snatch that check away, bye check. To be honest with you,
and it really don't mean anything if you just got to pay for it. Like,
right?
It just means that you got $20 to pay every month.
Also, it didn't mean anything prior to that.
Really, yeah. But our people are we project that value into it, and it's become what it's become. But yeah, I've been checklist, and I'll be checklist. So you can follow me at Means Matters. I am who I am. If you don't think so, then just stay the hell away from me. So, but War Media is at War Media, like I said, and that's it for now. Though, y'all be cool. Have a good one, and we'll be like I said, we'll be back soon. Fandemonium is the show, like I said, where we geek out, we nerd out, and hopefully you can enjoy your next movie and your next TV experience. And feel free to leave comments if you want us to talk about something in particular, or if you got something that you're interested in, let us know, and we'll bring it to the show as well. But in the meantime, enjoy yourselves and be safe and be cool out there. All right, talk to y'all later.